Hi everyone, welcome to this week's podcast episode. We haven't been around for ages. We've had so many things that we've been doing, just too busy to mention all of it. But where we're going to start, this is just a catch-up episode to kind of bring us up to date with where we're at, basically. Okay, do you want to go?
So we've had a lot of birthdays. Rue turned 3.
Rue did turn 3.
Buster turned 20.
Yes.
Nala had her birthday the other
20.
day.
Yeah, no, and Winnie and Pia.
Nala
and
now
Rose
has to grow up because she's 11.
Let's hope that helps.
I lunched her yesterday before and I was like, oh, we're now grown up.
You're now 11, that means you've got a sane brain.
Rue's shedding his teeth. I managed to get a baby cap, which I'm really happy about.
Oh,
I've
that's
become
good.
a tooth collector. Put them with Nick's.
Oh dear.
So we had booked onto our sponsored ride, which we didn't get round to going.
No,
but
we didn't. But hopefully it will mean that we, I don't know, push for all the boundaries that we've got shoved in my face to get there in the end.
But
with the loading problems.
We went to the airfield the other week and it was the longest ride that we've done in a while, and it just highlighted how even on a fitness level the girls weren't ready to go on a 15-mile ride.
100%.
Idiots to even think that we could.
No, but it's been useful because it's worked as a goal that we haven't achieved, but actually it's give us drive to do.
Yeah, and we haven't. That was the first time I've taken Rose out on the road, and she was an angel. And Winnie was a really good girl. She had bikes, cows, geese.
Yeah, we had a lot
to deal with.
Yeah, although the roads are quiet. No, but it's just the things that is. There's like really country houses, so they've got like tarps over like random things that are scary with the cows and.
What are them birds? The guinea fowl fowl in the long grass.
Across the road, either side, just popping their heads up like... Yeah.
Rose, the only thing Rose didn't like was the burnt out tree that had fallen down. She led the whole way, didn't care, and then on the way back was like, oh, I can't go past that. And when he was like, it's fine, I got this.
Of all the things, a burnt down tree. But
no, actually, I think Rose was more bothered about mine just appearing out of in the field.
Or that.
So yeah, we didn't get around to doing our sponsored ride, but even though it's on our goals for this year, there's loads of others, so we just need to up the fitness while working on...
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Loading,
yeah.
You passed your HGV.
I passed my HGV.
She did her test.
I did my test.
Passed 0 minors.
Whoop whoop.
High five.
High five.
Well done.
Yeah, Adam passed as well. We both did it together. He passed before me.
I won the bet because I'd won first.
Oh, come on.
Won.
We can't help when we're busy with dates.
Me and my mum had a bet on who would pass first, and I said Ad. But technically you done better than him because you've got 0 minors.
Technically, but he did better than me at the theory because...
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, only by like so many marks, but...
I thought you got the same.
No, he did better than me.
It doesn't matter. Pass is a pass.
That's it. A pass is a pass.
Sorry, Nelly wants to get involved. Here she is. Our podcasting mascot. Hello, everyone.
Say hi now.
So yes, what else have we been doing?
What was you going to say?
Rue, I've just started the whole let's introduce him to lunging, and he took to it really well. I've got a little video, so I'll upload that at some point. We're literally just walking around. He's actually really good at just like trotting round a circle around me.
He's a really good boy.
Yeah, bless him. And then just the loading thing. So the last episode...
Yeah, I don't know if we even said, did we? So the last episode was the trailer. Yeah. Oh, we did say someone's coming.
Yeah.
So I got someone, again, I'm second guessing myself, and I thought, sod it, I've tried a lot of things. So we hired a box and got her up, and basically she managed to get herself under the partition. Don't ask me how, but she did. And then on top of that, after that kind of happened, because initially she walks up absolutely fine, but it's we got her in there. We got her really well. I wasn't even closing the partition, but she literally flipped out underneath it. I don't actually even know how it happened. And then after that happened, I then couldn't get her to stay up there. And I've got like a Pirelli halter on, and normally she's a really good girl to like control like that, and she's just too big for me. I just could not get her to stay.
Just miss your half halt of just wait, a pause, and then kind of as soon as she goes up, she's off again.
And she's just so fast with it, isn't she?
She's big.
And the box that I hired was quite small as well, when it felt like you was, although she said it can carry big horses, it just felt really enclosed. So it was, I don't know, I just felt like as soon as she turned, she was basically on top of me.
To go anywhere, just out.
Yeah, so we ended up getting a box, and so I can practice and get her on there. And then I got someone to come out because, to be honest, I felt like the more I was doing it, the more she was learning to just run through me, and I couldn't contain it. That sounds really silly, but I just couldn't. So I paid someone to come out, and to be fair, like, I've done all this patience with her with the trailer, and it's just not worked with the trailer. So in my head, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong, because I've got her to the point where she was on the trailer, I could flip the rope on her neck, I could do the back up, to then take her travelling, and then it all be thrown back at me, because then she doesn't ever want to get back on. So I've took like months, really, haven't we?
It took
months to get her like that. So in my head, I'm like, what am I doing wrong? I need help with someone else from outside of us. And then he comes along, and he generally was like, you've got a much bigger problem than you think you've got, which in my head, I knew I had a big problem anyway. And I think the other side of it is that I didn't want to go down that route, because in my head, they need time.
Yeah.
They need time, and they need, especially a horse like her, she needs time to adjust in those things. And then you pay someone, and they literally word it as they can load any horse with no pressure halter under any circumstance.
Yeah, so he come very highly recommended, and he has been kind of marketed as someone that can solve anyone's problem, doesn't need any information on your situation, your horse, the travelling situation. He can just turn up and have your horse loading and travelling, blah, blah, blah. And you'd got to the point where you'd spend so long being patient with her that it got to the point where you were like, I'm not progressing. If anything, it's getting worse. And now you've got that emotional tie of you're really patient, but like there's still that element of frustration of, I can't do
I got really upset.
No, I know.
Yeah.
And it was heartbreaking to watch, but you have got that emotional frustration of, what the hell am I doing? Like, for God's sake, I couldn't be any more nicer to you and set this up in such a nice way. Like, why do you still not want to? And then it got a bit it was dangerous at times.
Yeah, it was dangerous.
So you're like, you know what, I'm done. Let me pay a professional. I've got to the end of what I think I can do with her. Let's just pay someone that does this for a living and see where we're at. So you'd kind of given up the beating yourself up about it and was happy to hand her over to someone that does that for a living.
Yeah.
And then, so for him to turn up and say you've got a bigger problem than what you think you have,
yeah,
I know, that's why you're here. This is why I'm paying this money, for you to solve my problem, because I'm all out of ideas, kind of thing.
100%, yeah.
And how long was he here for?
Wasn't long here at all. Literally an hour.
So I got to the yard late, and he was literally you was on, and he was calm and everything else, and then he said goodbye and left. And I thought, like, the human side of me was like, how has he took your money, turned up, and you're not lock and loaded up and travelling and back and all the rest of it? And then obviously after we discussed everything that he told you and went through, it was a massive light bulb moment for me, because I was like, how lovely that he has like concreted our view in, all horses are different, they all need time. And when I say that, no one has the answer. Like, that whole saying, how long is a piece of string? Like, every horse is different, every situation is different. Yeah, there's guidelines that you can practice with each horse, but the horse is the one that tells you at the end of the day how comfortable they are with each situation. So for him to turn up, take your money and leave after an hour and say, I've done everything that I can, it's now up to you to do the homework, and it is literally a time thing for her to get used to each step before you can progress. I was like, half of me was like, how is he like advertising himself as someone that can cure all loading problems? But also 100%. On the flip side of that, I was like, again, it just concretes that it's time. Like you can't rush that element. Like each horse is different, and he did like solve one of the problems for you, but then it is literally left for you to do the homework.
Yeah.
And I was a bit like, stop caring about like the human side of, oh, but I've paid this money, I need this horse to be loaded and all that kind of thing. Yeah. It was like, it is training horses, it depends on the horse.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. Yeah, 100%. But that's my approach in general anyway.
I know, but it just highlighted it again like, that it is that.
I think what annoyed me is basically the answer to it was putting a bridle on her. Which absolutely sounds ridiculous right now, because me and Kay both said to ourselves, why the fuck didn't we think?
I was annoyed because if you was anybody else, I'd have been like, right, okay, first things first, we've got no control over, like, if we've not got a half halt and she's turning and running away from you, we need to up it. Like, we need to just check back. What's the thing that you would go to? Yeah. Just put a bit in her mouth and a bridle. We're not adverse for putting bits in. We ride in a bridle. Yeah. Obviously, we're not being harsh, but like, if anybody else had come to me and gone like, "This horse is getting away from me," I'm like, right, first things first.
Let's address it and have a little bit more.
So you've just got a half halt. That's all you're asking for, and just by putting the slip in, you had that half halt, so she didn't have to then charge away from me off.
Yeah.
And I always think that
and him because he was tanking. She was tanking him off like massively.
It's dangerous. You're at the top of a ramp. You've got this massive horse that could either go up and over or off the side with you, launch off
on you. Yeah,
you just need that. Wait a second. That's all it was.
Yeah, 100%. And I just couldn't get that.
So I was annoyed that we both looked at each other and thought, "What idiots!" Like,
yeah, I know. But I think because we're going through our like natural horsemanship stage, if you like.
It's not even that, because I don't have a problem with putting
No, me neither. But I just think like our brains didn't go there.
I think when you're so invested,
really
emotionally, you're invested in something, you sometimes don't just see it from a bigger picture.
Yeah. So I paid him that money to basically tell me to put a fucking bridle on. And so I feel like a twat.
No, because then from that I was like, so he's basically just left you to then do the job.
To do the rest of it,
But you've progressed in such a just pop it the bridle on.
Yeah, because I've now got my half.
But she's now up there, calm. Oh, you tell him.
Yeah, no, we're up. We are now partition closed, because he could not close the partition. Stupid. All he left me with was her being up there and calm-ish to the point where we had half halt to say stay, and then. But wait,
can I just say, you'd already got her to the point where she was happy being in the box, as in she would walk up the box, but as soon as you went to turn her, that's when she would launch herself off. So he only gave you that pause of the turn to then carry on. So from that point, you then got her up, tied, standing up there for a long period of time.
Yeah.
Then working with the partition.
Yeah.
And have the lorry actually locked.
Yeah, locked and loaded to go. And I've now actually started engines, and the box is in kind of a funny place on the yard, so I can't actually go anywhere really. So I can just kind of go back like, a couple of yards.
Yeah, it's not even like a minute.
And then come like back forward. But it's still enough to kind of have had movement in the lorry that makes her feel the jolt. And I've also been loading Rose with her now, because I mean, so Rose is a really good girl, and she's always been really good when we've gone in the trailer or anything like that. But obviously since we've got the box, I thought, do you know what, I'm going to make sure that Rose is really calm up there, so when they do go together, they're both really quite happy within it. And initially Rose always had a pause at the bottom of the ramp, and I had to be like, come on darling, let's go. And then she would initially go after a good couple of minutes, whereas now Rose walks straight out, straight up. She always did a poo. She now doesn't do a poo. She had a little bit of an eye, whereas Winnie is like full blown panic eye mode. And she is literally standing up there really, really nicely. So I feel like they've done really well in that respect.
Through the journey of trying to get Winnie okay with loading and travelling, it again highlighted to us that you might think it's just a case of your horse either has a problem at the ramp, in the lorry, or the actual travelling and reloading part. But just taking a concept with loading and travelling made us like constantly go back and forward each other and realise how much you could actually break down each and every part of that into tiny, tiny little bits. And if you skip one or two, yes, you've got a Rose at the end of it that will eventually just go up stand, but she's actually not happy at every part of that. And so through Winnie, we were like, well, all of them need to be okay with every part of the whole travelling thing. For example, mine will all go up and stand, but say I'm by myself, or say we're at a show and I need to leave them on there for a second. Like, they all need to be okay with every step of it. Otherwise, you've got a Rose that, yeah, okay, externally she's not showing it like Winnie does, but she's still not 100% okay with it. And so for Rose, we were like, yes, she's not a Winnie, but we need to still work on her being okay with each step. So that's when Rose got her little training sessions.
Yeah. Which have literally took minutes
Yeah.
a day. Like, and I haven't done it every day. I've done it probably at the beginning. I was doing that 3 times a week or every other day. Not necessarily with Rose, but more with Winnie. And then Rose has kind of come into it, and I've just kind of quickly put Rose up at the end of Winnie's session. But like the standing at the bottom, I'm not okay. But technically, Rose is a horse that will walk up and go on, and will travel and come back and get on very nicely. But it just goes to show there's a poo, there's a standstill, there's a slight crazy eye, there's a
breathing,
the change in breathing, the scraping on the floor. Like, it's all signs that they're not okay. But technically, she travels really well. So it's, when do you say, oh, she puts up and shuts up with that?
Yeah.
So you just allow them moments to happen when you could make it nicer for her.
And horses like Rose not Rose, but like some horses like Rose would eventually shut down and not express themselves because all of those really, really subtle signs have been ignored.
Yeah, and they've built up.
And so then they just stop expressing themselves, but they're internalising the stress.
100%. Well, we know that Rose is an internal stressor, whereas Winnie will openly express it.
But it's only when you've got a horse that behaves like Winnie that people go, shit, I've got a problem, I now have to face it.
Yeah, because
you're stopping me from doing it. Yeah. Whereas you could easily ignore Rose's subtle signs and carry on doing the thing that you want to do, but she's still not okay with it.
Yeah.
So you just spending them times training her and making her feel okay. She's like up there, like absolutely fine.
Yeah.
And now she's like content and okay. And I'm like, all horses
deserve the right to become okay with something,
whatever it is that you're doing,
even when they're not outwardly expressing something. So that kind of leads on to us wanting to do our anxiety kind of month, if you like. Because we want to kind of really try and pinpoint all the little subtle signs that potentially a lot of people ignore, and then they build and build, and then everyone goes, well, that come out of nowhere, when actually
it didn't.
There was so much leading up to them moments that, of course, that explosion or that eruption or whatever it is that's happened.
Yeah.
So we wanted to try and explain it from a really subtle point of view to like from a Rose's point of view to up to like a Winnie Nala type situation.
And a lot of time people misinterpret them. So we as humans put our belief on whatever their behaviour is, when actually you need to look at it from why is the horse behaving like that.
Yeah.
So number one is making people aware, and 2, not labelling it as what you think it is.
Yes, yeah. Or putting your human kind of touch on it as if they're human brained, which they're not.
Yeah.
So we was going to do our next podcast about anxiety, as well as we've also got Elle coming on, haven't we?
Yep, so we've got 2 people booked in for an interview. So that's coming up.
Exciting. Can't wait.
So if there's anyone that you would like us to interview, let us know. But we've got 2 very exciting people coming up, so they'll be shared over the next 2 months.
Yeah. It's very exciting. Can't wait for them, actually. Can you? We're going to try and literally like go across the board for every kind of equestrian aspect, as well as like mindset and spiritual stuff, like herbalists and things like that. So as much
Any
as it's to do with
suggestions,
equine, it's also to do with bettering your mindset, etc.
I was going to say,
Yeah, what?
until next time. Jesus Christ. Nelly says
Oh, dear.
goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Until next time.
Ciao.